I recognize the member from Oshawa.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Ontario has a childcare crisis. We don't have enough licensed nonprofit subsidized childcare spots for our children. What we have instead is a patchwork system with long lists, high costs, and questionable safety. Our federal NDP counterparts have made it a matter of focus and priority. In fact, this past summer, Thomas Mulcair kicked off his discussions about childcare in Oshawa. We held a roundtable with community members invested in and challenged by childcare issues. The issues around that table across our community and typical across the province are significant and far-reaching. If families are able to find a childcare space, they pay the highest costs in Canada. As stated in our motion today, families pay monthly fees of $1,152 on average for one childcare spot in Ontario, compared to $152 per month in the province of Quebec. Quite simply, the costs have become unmanageable for families in Ontario. At our local roundtables, we listen to voices from across our community. We know that the people of this province want to work, and they struggle to find affordable childcare. The reality in Oshawa and across our province is that many parents work opposite shifts so that they can alternate and provide care for their children. Spouses don't see each other because they can't afford childcare, and families are literally being separated. We heard from a single mother who is trying to work to pay the bills and trying to secure a spot for her child with autism, which is no small challenge. We heard from parents who are students wishing there were childcare options on or near campus. We heard from families struggling to repay huge student debt, pay rising housing costs, and afford care for their kidlets. We heard from members of our Francophone childcare community who fill Francophone childcare spaces just as soon as they are made available. Every section of our community needs affordable childcare. And we heard from families whose children age out before they're even off the waiting list. In Oshawa, that list is about 2 years long. Many parents' incomes go entirely to childcare. Today, it is unimaginable to survive on a single income with children without struggling. Since introducing the NDP's affordable childcare plan, Tom Mulcair has been back to Oshawa, to the area, to hear from real families about the difference that this plan will make to their lives. One mother and her husband were planning to put their young son in childcare so that she could take classes to improve her skills and get into the workforce. Instead, they've discovered that the costs are so astronomical that they cannot afford it. Her husband has to work overtime to make ends meet and has to spend more time away from his new family. This childcare plan is for them. We also met with another young mom who is looking for a job, and she's been looking for 2 years. The only jobs she can find are in Toronto, and she can't afford to take the train and pay for childcare. She wanted to be a mom. She did not want to be forced onto social assistance and out of a job, but that's our system. This childcare plan is for her, too. Plain and simple, the cost of childcare in Ontario is a barrier. It is a barrier to families trying to get off social assistance. It is a barrier to families trying to go to school to better their lives. It is a barrier to women simply trying to enter the workforce. Speaker, there are too many barriers to women when it comes to the workforce. In the Toronto Star just today, a recent poll of working women found that more than 50% of women who responded perceived that absences due to family obligations or possible maternity leaves would prevent them from advancing to senior roles in their workplace. The employment firm that sponsored this survey, Randstad Canada's Senior Vice President Faith Tull, said this about why women aren't climbing the ladder at work. We're the sandwich generation. We're taking care of elderly parents and we're taking care of kids. Then we're balancing careers. When organizations are not showing that they are embracing the uniqueness of those pulls and pushes, then we don't think we can do it. Mr. Speaker, this is another example of systemic barriers to women and families. In short, we need to acknowledge and address the challenges that families are facing. As members of provincial parliament, it is our job to make life easier for Ontarians, to encourage growth in our economy, and to move our province forward. By investing in affordable childcare, we can achieve all of these aims at once, and it is an issue we cannot afford to wait on. Thank you to the other speakers and to those listening today, and I urge you to make childcare a focus in our province and support this motion. Our families are worth the investment.